Okay, so I'm here outside Son Espacis Hospital in Palma, but don't panic because I haven't actually had a medical emergency. I'm actually visiting Anne, who is one of the admins from the Facebook group. Now, we have had on the Facebook group recently quite a few questions about getting medical treatment here in Mallorca on holiday. We've had questions about going to hospital and about seeing a doctor as well. So I thought I'd make a very quick video about it. Seeing as I'm in a medical setting and I'm actually at the hospital itself, I thought I would answer a few questions for you. Now, the first thing I want to say as well is that I've got a full comprehensive article on my website on MallorcaUnderTheSun.com answering many frequently asked questions about getting medical treatment here on the island if you're on holiday, so please go and check that out. But I'm going to give you a really broad overview here if you do actually need to see a doctor while you're on holiday. Now, actually getting medical treatment on holiday is going to be the absolute last thing that you're going to think of if you're coming over to Mallorca. You're going to be thinking about other things like places to visit and things to do, but the last thing you're going to be thinking of is visiting a hospital. But unfortunately, and it has come to light this week, that some of my lovely subscribers have had to go to hospital. So I'm going to give you a few top tips as to what you need to do to prepare for this should it happen. My first piece of advice is to make sure you get yourself some travel insurance before you come over here on holiday. Now, this is super important that you've got some really good medical cover in that travel insurance, and also check the excess on that as well, because even if you do use your travel insurance to go and see a doctor, it's quite likely that you're going to have to pay for at least the first 50 to 75 euros just to get a consultation with a private doctor. If you're coming from anywhere else in the world, make sure you bring with you either your EHIC or your GHIC card with you before you come on holiday. This is going to entitle you to emergency treatment in a state or public hospital. You may have to pay for some elements of this, you may not, but this is to help provide you with emergency treatment if this is needed. So just to manage your expectations about the kind of emergency care that you would get over here in Spain, then you're going to get the kind of treatment that will be able to allow you to fly home for ongoing care in your home country. Now, this may well be to avoid any kind of like medical tourism that you may find in Turkey, for example. So if you do have a medical emergency over here, the treatment that you will get will be to attend to that medical emergency and to make sure that you get fit to fly again to get back to your home country for ongoing treatments. Okay, so if you do have a medical emergency, then the emergency number to call over here is 112, and that'll get you either through to the fire brigade, the police, or to ask for an ambulance as well. If you do have an accident or you do have a medical emergency and you can get yourself to hospital, I do recommend that as well. If possible, try and get a taxi. The parking at some of these hospitals can be very, very expensive. Also, the parking here at Son Espacis is an absolute nightmare too. So my recommendation would be to also try and get a taxi if you can't get an ambulance. And also, you can see behind me as well, there are plenty of buses that come up from Palma to Son Espacis Hospital as well, which is the main hospital here in Palma. This goes on to my next piece of advice as to which hospital you will go to, because you're going to find medical centres and hospitals all over the island. So if you're looking at going to a public state-run hospital because you have that EHIC or a GHIC card, then you're going to find a number of public state-run hospitals throughout the island. So over here in Palma and covering the southwest, we have Son Espacis. There's also Son Yatza Hospital as well, which is kind of nearer the Playa de Palma area. You're going to find a public state hospital as well in Inca and also in Manacor. So if you do have an accident or you do require emergency treatment and you are jumping into a taxi, ask a taxi driver to take you to one of those hospitals and not to take you to any of the private hospitals, because if you do not have medical insurance, then you could well face a really hefty bill. Now, these EHIC and GHIC cards are available to, well, most people in most countries to seek emergency medical care when they are abroad. So if you have come over here on holiday and you've been so excited about your holiday that you actually forgot to bring it, well, you are still able to get your hands on a certificate. You can actually request a provisional replacement certificate. Now, if you're coming from the UK, I'll put the details below as to how you can actually get that, but do go onto your local government website back home and just find out how you can get yourself a provisional replacement certificate for this EHIC or GHIC card. Now, the law in Spain is that no hospital is going to turn you down if you do need treatment, if you are ill. No one's going to turn you away, but just make sure that you try and get your hands on that paperwork if possible before going to a state hospital to make sure that you do not have to pay for any treatment. Okay, so what paperwork do you need to take with you if you are going to see a doctor or if you're indeed going to hospital? Well, if you are seeking medical treatment over here on the island, then make sure that when you go to a hospital that firstly you take your passport with you. Secondly, if you're going to a private doctor's or a private hospital, make sure you've got your travel insurance policy as well. And don't forget too that there may well be an excess that you have to pay on that as well. Also, I do recommend if you are going to a hospital as well that you do go to EHIC, which is the emergency room. It's where you're going to go if you're in sudden pain or you've had an accident. So if you do go there, expect it to be as busy as, well, you'll find any other emergency room in your home country. So with that, I would recommend taking some money with you, taking your mobile phone, taking your charger, and maybe taking a book as well, because you could be in for a wait, well, depending on the seriousness of your condition. So because of the questions that we've had recently on the Facebook group as well about conditions and whether people should be seeking medical treatment, I would recommend going to the emergency room for anything that you really do need to see a doctor about. I mean, it could be anything. So as long as it is serious enough for you not to actually wait until you get home and you're desperate to see a doctor, then just do go along to the emergency room. Because posting questions and asking for medical advice on Facebook is not really the way to go. If you need that emergency treatment, go and get it. Now, if your medical condition isn't so bad, then don't forget the farmacias or the pharmacies here in Mallorca can provide basic medical advice as well. You can get a lot of over-the-counter treatments in the same way that you would do back home too. So maybe if you don't have a serious condition, then that might well be your first port of call. If you're here on holiday too, talk to your rep. Your rep may also have a doctor on site or at the hotel that they can refer you to. But once again, depending on whether you've got travel insurance and health insurance, depending whether you have your EHIC card too or your GHIC card, check whether this doctor is going to be a private doctor and whether you're going to actually have to pay for a consultation. And indeed, whether a visit to this doctor, you're going to be able to get your money back as well if you do claim on your insurance policy. The same thing goes as well if you do jump into a taxi to go to a hospital. Make sure you're being taken to the hospital that you want to go to. So if you want to go to a state-run public hospital that you can use your EHIC and GHIC card, make sure you pick one of the hospitals that I mentioned earlier on in this video. If you have private health insurance or private travel insurance, then you can go to quite possibly any of the other hospitals as well. So you are also going to find other medical centres throughout the resorts on the island too. It's quite likely that these medical centres are going to be private, and many of them are only open during the tourism season, so from say the 1st of May until the 31st of October. There are also a number of other medical centres that operate year round as well. The chances are they're going to be private, and there are other public run medical centres as well. They are called PACs or Punto de Atención Continuada, something like that. But these are state-run medical centres. In the same way that you're going to get a state-run medical centre back in your home country, there are often long waits to actually get an appointment. If you do have a genuine medical concern, I would recommend just taking yourself off to EHIC at one of the big state-run hospitals and getting yourself seen to there. So absolutely worst case scenario, and if you are admitted to hospital, and I really hope that you come over here to the island on holiday instant free, but if you are admitted to hospital, then I just want to put your mind at rest here, because while you are in a foreign country and it can be quite stressful to be admitted to hospital if you've had an accident or you are sick, please do not worry, because the hospitals here are absolutely excellent and the staff and the doctors are absolutely excellent too. You're going to find many doctors here can actually speak English, and if not too, you're going to find that there are some translators or people that can help translate for you. Worst case scenario, use the Google Translate app on your phone as well. That works really well too, so you can know what's going on. But I'm just going to show you very quickly inside like how lovely Son Espaces Hospital is. It's quite a new hospital, and it was only built a few years ago, so everything is spotlessly clean. It's brand new, and just having a look around here at the rooms as well, they're very spacious. even though the difference between a public and a private hospital does differ slightly. In the public hospitals, you may well have to share a room with somebody else who is in here. In addition to, I just want to make the point that if you do get admitted to hospital and you are finding it stressful or difficult to cope with, or maybe family members have been admitted to hospital, the problem is that a lot of these hospitals are on the outskirts of town, so they might be a little bit harder to go to, even though we do have a plentiful supply of buses coming up here to Son Espaces from Palma. Maybe you may be located somewhere else on the island. Well, I have seen that the community here in Mallorca has really rallied around certain people who have had to end up in hospital, or family members that have been in hospital, and they've helped out in many ways. If you do feel in any way alone or isolated and you are in hospital, leave a post on the Mallorca Under the Sun Facebook group, maybe as well post on the I Have a Question Mallorca group as well, which has a high number of expats in that particular group, because there is a fantastic expat community here, and if we hear of anyone that does need help, then people do tend to rally around too. Okay everyone, that's quite a serious topic in this video. I hope you're never going to need to use this video, but if you do, at least you have all the advice. So if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. You can find me in the Facebook group and on my Instagram, also called Mallorca Under the Sun. And do not forget, I have got the ultimate guide to seeing a doctor and getting medical care while you're on holiday on my website too, and you'll find that on mallorcaunderthesun.com, so do go ahead and check that out. Next video, I'm going to be back on the beaches. It's going to be a much happier topic, so thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Goodbye for now.